Chapter 749. After a while, everyone in the room became silent for a moment. Then Dream of Tang's crisp voice sounded in everyone's ears. Oh my god. Was that Master Qingjio? This voice, I feel like kneeling down. Gu Xingyin typed a line of words. I just want to try out a new voice. With Chu Qing's body, other than her fair skin and exquisite looks, the thing that made people envious the most was her good voice. But her original voice was that of a sweet and crisp little girl's, and she had never liked it. She wanted to enter the online voice acting industry, because she discovered that she had the skill to change her voice. After countless attempts, she finally chose a domineering female voice as her spokesperson in the online voice acting industry. This girl had always believed that her appearance was because she had failed to live up to expectations when she was in her mother's womb, and did not absorb more nutrients. However, her nature was still that of a domineering queen with 1-2 long legs. Hence, she had never revealed this powerful talent in front of others. However, when it came to Gu Xingyin, her thoughts were completely different. Putting aside the fact that she didn't feel anything wrong with Chu Qing's body, if she wanted to advance in the online voice acting industry, it would be a waste if she didn't make use of such a good voice. Peach Blossom Forest was an excellent opportunity. With such a popular sadomasochistic novel, and the team behind Mountain River Volume being one of the top teams in the industry, Gu Xingyin felt that she could make good use of this opportunity. If Huang Tian alone wasn't enough, what if there was another celestial in the clouds? Gu Xingyin randomly selected a dialogue from Celestial Amidst the Clouds for Gu Xingyin to try. This kind of dialogue wasn't difficult for her at all. Mountain River Volume and Mountain River Volume were so excited that they couldn't speak. They were incomparably glad that they didn't lower their expectations, because it was difficult to find a candidate. Otherwise, how could they find such a perfect celestial in the clouds? Just like that, it was decided that Song Qingjio would be in charge of Celestial in the Clouds. At the same time, Gu Xingyin's QQ account for the online voice acting industry started flashing. A friend request popped up. Drunk Dusk has sent you a friend request. Do you accept? Gu Xingyin clicked accept. A dialog box popped up. Drunken Dusk. Say hello, I hope we have a pleasant cooperation. Ichinoka Qingjio. Happy working with you. The audition was not over yet. Gu Xingyin's computer was still connected. Then a private message came in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. T Qingjio, are you there? If you're paired with Celestial in the Clouds, then what about the original Huang Tian character? Of course. I can Qingjio. I can take on 2 roles, no problem. Tea time. Alright, thanks for your hard work. The next moment, Gu Xingyin's QQ flashed again. Drunken Dusk. I'll add you to the Peach Blossom Forest group. Soon a message popped up. Drunken Dusk has invited you to join the Peach Blossom Forest official matchmaking group. Do you accept the application? Gu Xingyin agreed. Drunken Dusk, Prince Lu Yun. Welcome Dream of the Tang Dynasty. Welcome Post-Production Huyin. Welcome, Lord Qingjio. Artist Cha Cha. Welcome Guru. Icon Qingjio Celestial in the Clouds. Thank you everyone. Tea Time Director. Qingjio has already changed the name card? Icon Qingjio Celestial in the Clouds. I saw everyone's format. Tea Time Director. Tang, quickly go and change the name card. Dreaming of the great Tang Ling Yinzi. I got it. Don't call me Tang. Gu Xingyin looked at this group of gurus who were unapproachable in front of outsiders. They seemed different from what she had imagined. Chapter 750. Cha Cha. Qingjio and Dusk, the 2 main actors, go find a room to rehearse your lines and get a feel for it. We will start recording in about a week. Gu Xingyin was dragged to a private room by Drunken Dusk. Drunken Dusk, I chose a part. Take a look and we'll rehearse this part. Is that okay? Gu Xingyin received the file she sent. It was the part where Celestial in the Clouds jumped into the reincarnation pool to leave Crown Prince Lu Yun. This part of the dubbing required a lot of emotional tension between the male and female leads. It could be said that it was the most intense part of the story. What do you want me to do? When can you really focus on me? Your Highness, the people in the 3 realms are what you should see and pay attention to. The woman with black hair looked at the sea of clouds in front of her and said faintly, "I don't want the people in the three realms. I only want you, Celestial in the clouds." The handsome man's eyes were full of hostility. "Celestial in the clouds will only hide in the sea of clouds. The honor of being the mother of all celestial beings doesn't suit me. If I can't get Celestial in the clouds, what's the use of the sea of clouds in the three realms?" Finally, after rehearsing this part, Gu Xingyin broke away from the mysterious atmosphere. She let out a long sigh of relief. She realized that dubbing was indeed a very exhausting thing. A dialogue box flashed on the screen. "Drunken Dusk. How do you feel?" Gu Xingyin replied, "I'm fine." "Drunken Dusk. I recorded the dubbing just now. I want to send it to Cha-Cha. What do you think?" "Qingjiu, I'm fine with it." Gu Xingyin remembered that she had a physical education class in the afternoon. After saying a few words to Drunken Dusk, she left. Looking at the time, it was 1:30. She could change her clothes and get ready to go out. Pushing open the door, Gu Xingyin saw a certain someone sitting on the sofa watching a movie on the computer. "Cha-Cha, get ready to go to class." Cha-Cha heard this and wailed, "I really don't want to go." Physical education was like a curse to weak girls like them. Especially when they were selecting classes back then. One of them was gaming all night, while the other was doing voice acting. Neither of them managed to grab an easy class. When they finally logged in, they were only left with directional cross-country. That teacher was famous for being a pervert. Other people's PE classes were just relaxing and playing ball games for fun. But they had to run every time. Furthermore, it was at least 1,200 meters. Was this something a normal student could endure? The worst thing was that the teacher also knew that he was not very popular. If he was not strict, the truancy rate would be quite low. Therefore, attendance was required for every class. Whoever was absent would have to retake the class next semester. If he didn't want to attend other classes, there was another way, which was to find someone to substitute for him. However, as soon as the substitute students heard that it was Teacher XX's orienteering class, they refused in horror. They just wanted to earn some pocket money. There was no need to torture themselves for it. Gu Xingyin heartlessly took away her laptop and warned, "Don't get any ideas. Think about the consequences of skipping class. Think about your parents." Cha-Cha shivered and quickly got up from the sofa. "I'll go pack up. Wait for me for 10 minutes. Fortunately, Cha-Cha was a big-hearted girl. She was still wailing just now, but when she was on the road, she started to become infatuated. Although Teacher Liang is a little strict, but in terms of looks, no one in our school can beat him. Chapter 751. Momo was right. Most of the male teachers in the school had big bellies. As an unmarried 20-year-old with an 8-pack, orienteering Teacher Liang was indeed very popular among the students, especially the girls. If it weren't for his perverted curriculum, orienteering would definitely be one of the most popular courses. However, there were no ifs. As a result, no matter how attractive the handsome guy was, the students were still unwilling to look for abuse. When Momo and Gu Xingyin arrived at the gathering place, there were still 5 minutes before class started. Most of the students in the class had arrived. This class had the highest attendance rate in the school. Momo raised her wrist and looked at her watch. Strange, it's already so late. Why isn't Teacher Liang here yet? She suddenly showed a surprised expression. Could it be that he has a class at the last minute and doesn't want to go to class? Gu Xingyin was about to say something when there was a sudden commotion among the girls not far away. "What's the matter? What's the fuss?" Momo said and looked over. Then, Ching, look, it's a handsome guy." Momo suddenly lowered her voice and exclaimed. Gu Xingyin followed her gaze and looked over. A figure walked over in the sunlight. It was late autumn. He was wearing a long light gray coat, and his slender figure could be seen at a glance. As for the face that caused the girls to scream, Gu Xingyin thought for a moment. To use the most popular youth literature adjectives, it was, "The sunlight is not as dazzling as him. The wind is still at this moment, and everything is reduced to the background behind him." If Gu Xingyin were to describe it, it would be, "a very handsome man." Momo grabbed her hand tightly, and her eyes were practically shining. So handsome, so handsome. Gu Xingyin used a lot of effort to pry her hand away. If she continued to grab it, her hand would probably be bruised tomorrow. When he walked to the gathering place, the bell rang. Hello students. My name is Gu Yunka. Your teacher Liang has some personal matters, so he asked me to take over his class for a while. His eyes and brows were so clean that he looked like someone who had just walked out of a painting. When he spoke, his voice was so suave that it was hard to breathe. Gu Xingyin heard the girl behind her gasp. Oh my god, my ears are going to get pregnant. Gu Xingyin frowned. She felt that the voice was familiar, but in her memory, she didn't have any impression of this man named Gu Yunka. Could it be that because it was him, she felt a sense of familiarity? Gu Xingyin let go of her doubts. The students in the class began to talk to each other. Some of the bolder ones asked the new teacher, Hello Teacher Gu. What does Teacher Gu do? Is Teacher Liang alright? When will he be back? Gu Yunka kept smiling and replied, Teacher Liang is going abroad on a business trip on behalf of the school for a period of time. It will take about a month. As for me, I used to be a national second-class athlete, but now I'm a freelancer. Don't worry, I've been approved by the school to work here. I'm not an illegal resident. That mischievous voice with a hint of a smile at the end could simply tickle people's hearts. This teacher seemed to be easy to get along with. Many students were relieved. However, it turned out that they were happy too early. Chapter 752. Well, since everyone has finished asking questions, let's start the class. Gu Yunka clapped his hands and said. Seeing that all the students were looking at him, he nodded with satisfaction and continued. When your teacher Liang went on a business trip, he told me something. I have already made arrangements for your classes. As soon as he said this, many students had a bad feeling in their hearts. Sure enough, the next moment they heard the handsome teacher say with a smile, The routine long-distance running is absolutely necessary for every class. I will also check your attendance from time to time, and then there is a physical fitness test. Oh my god! Many people wailed in their hearts. They thought that with a new teacher, they could have an easier time this month, but they didn't expect that they still had to live in deep water and fire. Everyone, keep your spirits up. You're all youths full of vigor. What's this short distance to you? Come on. Teacher Gu's voice was still explosive, but in the students' ears, it was not as pleasant as before. Fu Qing couldn't help but say, Teacher, since you said that this short distance is nothing, why don't you take us to run together? Gu Yunka looked over. Gu Xingyin and Fu Qing were standing together. Fu Qing always felt that the teacher's eyes paused on her. Fu Qing was a little uneasy. She hated that she couldn't control her mouth. What if this new teacher didn't like her? Speaking of which, he was so handsome. He wouldn't be so stingy, right? Amidst her uneasiness, Teacher Gu paused for a moment, as if she was considering her words. Then she nodded. This female student is right. All right, I'll run with you. Ah. Fu Qing looked at him with a stunned expression. Was he serious? But Gu Yunka smiled and said to everyone, I can take you to run, but those who need to run for 1,500 yuan and walk for half an hour don't come. I will evaluate your results. In a split second, Bayan received countless extremely lethal gazes. Who told you to talk too much? Great, now you can't even slack off. Fu Qing looked innocent. I didn't know that the teacher was such a person. All right, let's get on the track. Momo held on tightly to Gu Xingyin. Oh, Qing, you can't leave him in the lurch. Our revolutionary friendship. You have to take me with you. There was a reason for her to say this. Although Chu Qing was petite, her physical fitness was top-notch. Other people would be half dead after running 1,500 meters, but she was fine. At most, she would sweat a little. In the past, Ms. Liang liked to use Chu Qing as a role model for the whole class. He said that there were so many people in the class, especially the boys, but they couldn't compare to a girl. Gu Xingyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, I'll run with you. Don't drag me down when the time comes. In the past, every time they ran, Momo would grab her hand and not let go. No matter how good Chu Qing's physical strength was, she would be exhausted by her every time. Tao Wu felt a little guilty. I couldn't run anymore. Her eyes darted around and she suddenly covered her mouth. Ching Ching, look, look. It turned out that the male teacher had taken off his coat. He was wearing a gray vest with a white shirt on the inside. He looked like a young master from a wealthy family from the last century. Chapter 753. When he was wearing a coat, only his slender figure could be seen. But now that he had taken off his coat, his long and straight legs were extremely eye-catching. Therefore, there was a spectacular scene on the playground. A handsome male teacher was leading the team in front, and dozens of students were running behind him. Some students who had no class and were passing by couldn't help but stop at this scene. Of course, the students could be sure that most of them were not here to see them run, but to see the male teacher who was leading the team in front of them. The girls were fine. Looking at the handsome teacher in front of them, the boys had mixed feelings. They were envious of the new teacher. When could they attract the attention of so many girls? The answer was, go to South Korea. Ching Ching. Ching Ching, I can't do it. Give me a hand. After running 2 laps, Momo began to pant. Gu Xingyin looked at her helplessly and reached out a hand. Breathe through your nose. I usually tell you to exercise more, but you don't want to. You're so tall. Momo grinned. I'm weak. Really, there was no one who could say that she was weak so confidently. Initially, Gu Xingyin was following closely behind Teacher Gu. Now that Fu Qing had pulled him along, the two of them fell behind. The 3rd lap, the 4th lap. Gu Yunka finished running. His face was not red and he was not out of breath. He glanced back. That girl was far behind, running slowly with another girl. He revealed a smile. The relationship between these little girls was really enviable. He stood in place for almost 5 minutes. Slowly, the students in the class reached the finish line one by one. Momo finally finished running with Gu Xingyin's help. I can't do it. Her legs were weak. She wanted to sit down, but Gu Xingyin forcibly stopped her. Don't sit down. Later at night, you'll tell me that your whole body hurts. Well, let's do some exercise. Don't sit down after running. The rest of the day is free to do whatever you want. Momo, who was still gasping for breath, suddenly brightened up. I like this teacher. Gu Xingyin turned to look at Gu Yunka. Gu Yunka was also looking at them. Seeing Gu Xingyin looking at her, Gu Yunka was stunned and smiled. She looked at Teacher Gu, who was surrounded by many students, and did not walk over. Instead, she pulled Teacher Gu to the other side to rest. She took out her phone, switched accounts, and logged into Vblog. In the original plot, on this very day, Liangzi Love Steamed Bun posted a long series of articles on Weibo, describing in detail how she, a newcomer, was bullied by the big shots in the circle. Just as she opened it, her phone vibrated, and a series of ads appeared on the screen. Gu Xingyin clicked on one of them. Sure enough, Liangzi Love Steamed Buns had posted an emotional article. Gu Xingyin gave it a cursory glance. The writing wasn't bad. Between the lines, she seemed to have exposed all the obscure rules of the voice acting industry that discriminated against newcomers. Her grievance could be felt through the words. But this time, he was not the only one who was mentioned. Gu Xingyin glanced at it. Although Liangzi Love Steamed Bun did not mention the name of the club, the article mentioned a very famous female top voice, a club that likes to make xianxia dramas, and so on. It was obvious. Of course, the main target was Chu Qingjiu. The members of the Shanha Scroll Club only skimmed over a few sentences. When it came to the inside story of the voice acting circle, the fans naturally went crazy. Chu Qingjiu's idea alone had been at hundreds of times. Chapter 754. Gu Xingyin scrolled through the comments and was surprised to find that most of her fans were on her side. Scrolling up, it turned out that Dream of Tang Dynasty, Zhuangcha, and the others had also replied to Weibo. Dream of Tang Dynasty. Do you dare to say it directly? Why are you being so secretive? Why don't you tell us what we've done to you? Liangzi Loves Buns Zhuangcha. Distorting the truth. I can't stand such a sinister person. Liangzi Loves Buns Huayin likes to sleep late. Oh my god, what happened when I came back from lunch? Is this what I saw with my own eyes? I'm the person involved. I'm confused. This girl's storytelling skills are not bad, hee hee. Liangzi Loves Buns. The Mountain River Scroll Society had always had a good reputation in the circle and had many die-hard fans. Gu Xingyin could see that most of the comments under this Weibo were scolding Liangzi for loving buns. Some people even said that she was doing this on purpose, wanting to ride on the popularity of these gods to gain fame for herself. Gu Xingyin thought for a while and replied, "Itsu Qingjiu. Heaven is watching what people do. He should at least speak with some conscience. Liangzi loves buns." To be honest, among those who were affected, although what she said wasn't nice, it wasn't too overboard. But Liangzi loves buns seemed to have set her sights on her. She didn't reply to other people's but she replied to Itsu Qingjiu's reply immediately. "Liangzi loves buns. God, can you not speak so harshly? I'm just on good terms with gods Chunhua and Qiushi. Do you have to target me like this?" Itsu Qingjiu was actually related to gods Chunhua and Qiushi. The onlookers felt like there was big gossip to watch. Could it be a threesome? After all, Itsu Qingjiu and Qiushi were considered an official couple. Did Liangzi loves buns mean that she was close to gods Chunhua and Qiushi? Gu Xingyin hihi. Why did this person keep dragging Chunhua and Qiushi into this? She raised her hand and typed a reply. Itsu Qingjiu. If you want to mingle well in this industry, you have to practice hard. Be careful when you're auditioning. Don't think too much. Most people in this world don't have a grudge against you. Liangzi loves to eat buns. Her words were to the point. Compared to Liangzi loves steamed buns' pretentious tone, her words were more acceptable to her fans. The comments were full of likes. Cloud made of rain. Dada, you're right. That Bao Bao, are you thinking too much? Roses blooming in the wilderness. What Qingjiu said makes sense. In this industry, strength speaks louder than words. If you have the time to create trouble, you might as well improve your strength and come up with a good work to Liangzi loves eating buns. Looking at the comments on the internet, Liangzi loves steamed buns was so angry that she wanted to cry. She originally thought that since she was clearly a victim, those fans would comfort her and criticize those so-called gods. Who would have thought that things would develop in a completely different way? She thought for a while and called a number. "Hello, Liangzi." The other party's voice was very pleasant. "God Qiushi, have you seen the Weibo post?" Liangzi loves eating buns said angrily. How could Chunhua and Qiushi not see it? Liangzi didn't tell him when she posted the Weibo post. By the time he found out, the Weibo post had already been covered by fans. Chapter 755. In private, he also knew that Liangzi loves buns was a stupid thing to do. She was just a nobody. She had offended many famous people in the circle with a casual post. How could she win the sympathy of her fans? How could there be such a good thing in the world? But he could only keep these words in his heart. In front of Liangzi, he still maintained his gentle and good-tempered image. "Liangzi," he said carefully, "what are your plans?" A sweet voice came from the other side. "That group of people bullied me just because they are gurus. Guru Qiushi, help me out." Chunhua Qiushi frowned. To be honest, he didn't want to get involved in this mess. Seeing that he didn't reply, Liangzi loves buns got angry. She said angrily, "Guru Qiushi, you won't leave me in the lurch, right? I was planning to go over to your place this weekend. I didn't expect you to be so unjust." Hearing that Liangzi would come over this weekend, Chunhua Qiushi gave in. After all, it was just an online circle. How big of a deal could it be? He thought and agreed. "Chunhua Qiushi, Liangzi is new here. She doesn't know anything. Why do you have to be so calculative with her? Qingjiu, you weren't like this in the past." Itsu Qingjiu. Chunhua Qiushi was quite famous in the industry and had quite a lot of fans. When he said this, many people sensed that something was wrong. It seemed like Guru Chunhua Qiushi was on the side of that bun. Also, from the meaning of his words, could it be that Guru Qingjiu really hated her because of love and was deliberately targeting the newbie out of jealousy? Gu Xingyin sneered and replied with a slap in the face. "Itsu Qingjiu. You know what I was like in the past. We only worked together on a web drama. We are just acquaintances. Guru Chunhua Qiushi, don't think too highly of yourself." Chunhua Qiushi. Also, a certain newbie who is pure and innocent. I don't have any grudges against you. Your face isn't big enough for me to deliberately target you. Liangzi loves buns. After saying this, she put down her phone. Looking at these brainless comments was really tiring. Gu Xingyin was glad that she knew what these two people were like. She had screenshots and voice recordings of what happened yesterday. At most, he would go back and post it on Weibo at night. Anyway, if the two of them fell out, then so be it. Gu Yunke looked at the girl from afar. She seemed to have put her phone away. He took out his phone. The girls around him smiled and wanted to take a look. What does the teacher's screensaver look like? Is there a little secret? Gu Yunke gently turned the phone over to her side. She shook her head with a smile and said, "There are many little secrets in a man's phone." As soon as he said that, the students surrounding him tactfully left. Although they were heckling, it was obvious that this new teacher was not willing to let them take another step forward. Naturally, they would not be so insensible as to pester her. After the crowd dispersed, Gu Yunke logged into a familiar account and found a piece of hot news. He flipped through them one by one, his expression unchanged. It wasn't until she flipped to Itsu Qingjio's most recent comment that she smiled. Indeed, she was a straightforward person who didn't like to be taken advantage of. However, he was a little worried. Such a personality seemed to be a little too straightforward, and it was easy to attract hate. Sure enough, Chunhua Qiushir's fans had already started to scold her for thinking too highly of herself. He swiped his finger on the screen a few times and sent a comment. Chapter 756. Drunken Dusk. It's just a one-sided story. If you have the ability, take a screenshot and slap her in the face. Chunhua Qiushir Liangzi loves to eat buns. Drunken Dusk. Itsu Qingjio. Not long after he sent this message, he received a private message on QQ. Tang Tang. Damn Dusk, you said you weren't close to Qingjio. I've never seen you speak up for others. Drunken Dusk. We weren't close before, but now we are. Tang Tang. Who are you lying to? Dream of Tang Dynasty scrolled through Drunken Dusk's Weibo and found that he followed Qingjio. He then scrolled through Qingjio's Weibo and found that she didn't follow any of them. Ha 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 ha. Dusk, to think you would have such a day. He laughed out loud. The gossipy onlookers expressed that this matter seemed to be getting more and more involved. Even Huang Han, who had never participated in such matters, came out to support Qingjio. What exactly was going on? After class, Gu Xingyin and Hua Qing finished their lunch before returning to the dormitory. There were a lot of things to do this week. There were 3 exams, and this was also the reason why Chu Qing didn't deal with this matter in time. Gu Xingyin returned to the dormitory and turned on her computer. Hua Qing knocked on the door and entered with a plate of grapes. Damn, Qing is about to take her exams and you're still playing online games? Hua Qing looked shocked. Gu Xingyin looked back at her calmly. Aren't you playing games? Hua Qing looked smug when she heard this. That's different. I'm a top student. Indeed, although Hua Qing dedicated almost all her free time to her games and movies, she could get a first-class scholarship from the school every year. She was the envy of those who crammed at the last minute, but often failed their exams. Chu Qing was the kind of person who crammed at the end of her exams. She would always start revising a week before the exams and then leave it to fate. Most of the time she would pass. Occasionally, she would fail. Miss Chu said that there would be make-up exams. Anyway, she didn't need to use such an impressive academic background to gild herself. The Chu family only wanted their daughter to be happy, so she could do whatever she wanted. Chu Qing took a grape and put it in her mouth. Something happened today. I met a retard. I have to get rid of her, or I won't be able to focus on revising. Retard? There was gossip. That's what the girl loves. She quickly moved a chair and sat next to Gu Xingyin. She picked up a grape and said, Tell me, what happened that made my little cutie unable to bear it? In Bai Luo's eyes, her roommate Chu Qing's character was really good. She was obviously a pampered young miss, but her personality was not bad at all. She was not pretentious, nor did she show off. At most, she was a little spoiled. But she had the capital. Her whole family doted on her. And there was never anything that troubled her. How could she not be delicate? She had a lot of friends in real life, but she didn't have many bad friends. According to Chu Qing's logic, If she didn't really like him, she would just ignore him. Naturally, the two sides wouldn't have any more interactions, and their relationship wouldn't be bad. To be able to make her call him a retard, how excessive was that? Gu Xingyin glanced at her. There's nothing to say. She's just a little white lotus flower. She always feels that the whole world is against her. Her paranoia is a little too much. She skillfully logged into her account and sent a Weibo. Chu Qingjiu. The whole process of yesterday's incident is here to be slapped. Smile drunk dusk. Chapter 757. Gu Xingyin's slap to the face was a little too harsh. The screenshot was of the conversation between Liangzi Loves Buns and the management team of Mountain River Scroll. Gu Xingyin had blurred out the faces, but those who were observant could roughly tell who was speaking. The recording was even more comprehensive. The part where Liangzi Loves Buns tested the voice of a mortal in the clouds, the part where she acted coquettishly on the microphone, the part where Chunhua and Qiushi spoke up for her, and so on. Gu Xingyin had uploaded the entire process onto the internet. The moment her Weibo post was posted, the members of Mountain River Scroll who had been paying attention to the development of the situation all liked and forwarded it. Dream of Tang Tang even left 3 thumbs up below. Drunken Dusk. Great. Needless to say, the fans below all said that they had just watched a big show. Daydream. I carefully watched and listened to Qingjiu's screenshots and recording again, but I didn't see any almighty bullying the newbie. I only saw a pretentious white lotus doing evil things at Liangzi Loves Buns. What do you think about this? A little yellow chick. Allow me to give a like to the almighty of Mountain River Scroll. Peach Blossom Forest definitely can't use such a person. Immortal in the Clouds definitely can't use this bun. Damn, why don't you listen to your own voice? Do you know who Immortal in the Clouds is? At Liangzi Loves Buns Flowers Fall knows how much. Liangzi Loves Buns Shameless Moonlight beside the bed. Liangzi Loves Buns Shameless +1 apples don't taste good. Liangzi Loves Buns Shameless +2. I really don't know where you get your confidence from. So many almighty are targeting you at Liangzi Loves Buns. Also a big like to Qingjiu. Gu Xingyin looked at the comments below and logged out of her Weibo post in satisfaction. After informing the official voice actors of Peach Blossom Forest that she had some private matters to attend to and couldn't go on QQ, she logged out of all her 2D accounts and started to focus on revising. If there was a sudden change and she didn't even study at the last minute, not to mention the others, Chua would be the first to start suspecting. Similarly, he did not appear for a week, but the development of the situation was completely different from the original plot. Now the public opinion and fans were all on her side. Liangzi Loves Buns had even been kicked out of the online matchmaking circle by her fans. The circle did not welcome a scheming B*TCH like her. Chunhua and Qiushi, the great gods who helped the tyrant, also lost a lot of fans. Other than a few true fans who still supported them, many passers-by directly unfollowed them. Chunhua and Qiushi also felt a bit tired. He really liked Liangzi Loves Buns. Back then, when Liangzi Loves Buns joined his fan group, her words were full of admiration for him. She even posted photos of Meng Meng's cute voice. In the photo, Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns looked sweet and cute. When she smiled, there were 2 shallow dimples on her face. She was Chunhua and Qiushi's favorite face. Men usually had no resistance when facing the opposite sex, especially the opposite sex who was beautiful and knew how to act coquettishly. Therefore, when Liangzi Loves Steamed Bun asked him to bring her into the online community, Chunhua and Qiushi agreed without hesitation. He really enjoyed the feeling of being worshipped by girls. And when Liangzi asked him who was more important, her or Chu Qingjiu, he smiled and said, "How can the two of you be compared?" Chu Qingjiu and him were just normal friends. They just happened to work together before, and were slightly more familiar with each other. Chunhua and Qiushi secretly felt that Chu Qingjiu, who was usually inactive and never interacted with others outside of dubbing, was definitely an otaku who wasn't good at communicating with others in real life. What kind of girl would not be good at speaking and not communicate with others in real life? Chunhua and Qiushi could only think of those sensitive, self-abased, and ugly girls who didn't know how to dress up. Chapter 758. Phew, I finally finished another exam. Coming out of the examination room, Momo breathed a sigh of relief. Some students around heard her sigh and glanced at her sadly. Momo, please don't say such things. I guess we have to take a makeup exam this time. Momo pulled Gu Xingyin aside and asked, "How are you?" Gu Xingyin thought for a moment. It should be no problem to pass. Of course it was no problem. She came here because of the accuracy rate, which guaranteed that she would occasionally exceed her usual level. Momo pulled her out. Let's go. After tomorrow, this evil exam week will be over. Let's go and have a big meal. This was an old rule between the two of them. Every time they finished an exam, they would reward their taste buds. Today, I said this because tomorrow's exam is almost a compulsory course for this major, so I'll take it as an early celebration. Gu Xingyin looked at the time and shook her head. Let's go in the evening. There is a physical education class in the afternoon. The purpose of having a good meal was to relax. It wasn't nice to think about rushing back to class in the middle of the meal. Momo thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, I hope our handsome teacher can be gentle in the afternoon. Their teacher was really gentle in the afternoon. Today, Mr. Gu was wearing a formal sportswear. It was an outfit that would have blended in with the others, but on him, it was extremely fitting and slim-fitting. Looking at it, the youthful Gu Yunka standing in a group of students did not seem out of place at all. Another girl could not help but exclaim, "Teacher Gu, how old are you?" Gu Yunka smiled. "In my eyes you are all little kids." Humph. The students could not help but despise him. Looking at the teacher's appearance, he was at most 25. A girl plucked up her courage and said, "Teacher, this week is our exam week. Everyone is exhausted. Can you give us a way out, and let us have a good rest and relax?" As soon as she finished speaking, the whole class looked at Gu Yunka expectantly. Exam week? Gu Yunka thought for a moment, and glanced at the faces of the students inadvertently. No wonder she said that she could not show up for a week. Thinking of this, he smiled and nodded. It's okay to relax, but you can't do nothing. Running 2 laps with the teacher to exercise is also a good way to reduce stress. Yeah, teacher, you're the best. The students in the class cheered. Compared to the usual classes, 2 laps were nothing. This time, it was rare that none of the students held them back. Even the usually delicate girls gritted their teeth and finished the race. After running the laps, Gu Xingyin and a few girls in her class gathered together and chatted. Although Teacher Gu told them to rest, they couldn't just walk around. This time, the theme was all around the After all, every time it came to exam season, the most popular people were usually the top students. Gu Yunka took a look at this side and walked over. Are there a lot of exams this week? He asked. When the girls saw him coming over, they consciously made way for him. With regards to such a handsome teacher, they were still very welcoming. Not to mention anything else, just looking at him made them feel that he was very pleasing to the eyes, right? Coincidentally, Gu Yunka happened to be beside Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin glanced at him and nodded. Basically, there are exams every day. Chapter 759. Someone immediately followed up with flattery. Teacher, you're so reasonable and handsome. It's really rare to find a teacher like you. If only you were really a teacher in our school. Gu Yunka just smiled. Momo asked, Teacher Gu, you said you were an international athlete. What kind of athlete are you? As soon as she said that, many girls looked at her. In their hearts, since Teacher Gu was so handsome, she must be a super handsome basketball player. Gu Yunka replied, swimming. Swimming. Momo pulled Gu Xingyin's sleeves on the other side, and made a gesture of abdominal muscles. It was said that swimmers had a very good figure. Gu Yunka suddenly said, I see that you are all out of breath when you are running. You don't exercise much in daily life, right? It was more than little. They didn't exercise at all. At this time, Gu Xingyin was pulled out as a representative. Teacher, that's not necessarily true. Look at Qingqing. Although she is thin and small, she is a fierce person who can run 3,000 meters in the school sports meet. The girls around her nodded their heads. It must have been hard for Chu Qing to have such explosive power in such a petite body. Oh, Gu Yunke looked at Gu Xingyin and said with a smile, I really don't see it. Gu Xingyin looked embarrassed. I just run a little more in daily life. It's more than running a little more. As her roommate, Momo began to blabber that Chu Qing had to do yoga for an hour every day, stand for at least half an hour every day, and so on. Unconsciously, she sold Chu Qing out. Gu Yunke listened to her slowly. She looked indifferent, but she remembered some of her little habits in her heart. At first, Gu Xingyin did not understand why he was here, but when she saw Lao Xiao selling her out without any hesitation, she roughly understood what he was thinking. Was he taking a roundabout route to inquire about her indirectly? At the end of the class, Gu Yunke learned a lot. He was so happy that he didn't even call the roll, and called the class over. Gu Xingyin was dragged by Chen Chen to a seafood hot pot restaurant that she liked very much. Gu Yunke walked out of the school. As soon as she got in the car and fastened her seatbelt, she received a call. It was his good friend Liang Zhe, the PE teacher he was teaching as a substitute. I say, Gu Yunke, why did you insist on making me take on this difficult task of being a substitute teacher? Now that I'm eating and drinking here, how does it feel to be a substitute teacher? There was a hint of schadenfreude in his voice. Back then, his good friend took the initiative to look for him, and said that the orienteering course he was going to teach sounded interesting. It just so happened that the school was arranging for a teacher to go on a business trip. He could help him get a spot and teach him. Who didn't know that this business trip was just to sit and listen to two useless meetings and eat and drink the rest of the time? He didn't know what Gu Yunke was thinking. Of course, Liang Zhe wouldn't refuse such a thing. Gu Yunke replied with a smile. It feels good. Not bad. On the other side, Liang Zhe was suspicious. Suddenly, he had an epiphany and asked, could it be that you've taken a liking to one of the girls in my class and are plotting to get close to her? Gu Yunke didn't answer, but asked back, do I look like that kind of person? Liang Zhe was stunned for a moment, and immediately thought that it made sense. A person like Gu Yunke had always been pursued by beautiful girls. Which girl was worth his effort? Chapter 760. Gu Yunke hung up the phone, stepped on the accelerator, and left the school. However, there were so many coincidences in the world. When he walked into the seafood hot pot restaurant recommended by his friend, he saw two girls sitting in the corner at a glance. To be more precise, the first thing he saw was Gu Xingyin, who was sitting a little further away. The restaurant was very popular. Gu Yunke glanced around, and found that there was only one empty seat left in the restaurant. He looked behind him, and found that someone else came in. He paused for a moment, then took out his mobile phone slowly and called his little nephew to ask about his studies. When he hung up the phone, there were no seats left. He walked to the front desk. The waitress saw the handsome guy very early. When she saw him talking on the phone, she almost rushed up and shouted at him, if you don't hurry up, the seat will be taken by others. However, her good professionalism made her restrain her impulse. One seat, Gu Yunke said with a smile. The waitress blushed and said apologetically, I'm sorry, sir, the seats are full. Gu Yunke frowned and was obviously disappointed. Seeing him like this, the waitress couldn't help but look around to see if any customers had finished eating and could make room for them. I heard from my friend that the taste of this restaurant is very authentic. Alas, it seems that I don't have the luck today. Gu Yunke said softly. Oh, is that Teacher Gu? Momo had sharp eyes and saw Gu Yunke standing at the front desk as soon as she looked up. Teacher Gu also came here to eat. Momo was a little excited, but then she looked inside the restaurant. It seemed that there were no seats left. Gu Yunke said something to the waitress, and was about to go outside. Momo blurted out, Teacher Gu. Her voice was not too loud, but it was enough for Gu Yunke to hear. Many people who were eating around also heard it. Sorry. Momo put her palms together and smiled apologetically. Gu Yunke seemed to be very surprised to see them. Momo was embarrassed to shout again, so she got up and walked to the front desk. Are there no seats left? If you don't mind, you can share a table with us. Gu Yunke glanced at Gu Xingyin, who didn't get up and hesitated. Will it be inconvenient for you? Momo thought that he was afraid that Gu Xingyin would be unhappy. She shook her head and said, Ching is just busy eating. It's okay. Gu Yunka smiled and said, then I'll have to thank you. He walked towards the table where the two of them were seated. Gu Xingyin just fished out the cooked prawns and smiled when she saw Gu Yunka. Hello, Miss Gu. Originally, she and Momo were sitting opposite each other, but now Momo sat next to her and let Gu Yunka sit opposite her. A waiter came over from the other side. Gu Yunka finished ordering and smiled at the two of them. Thank you so much for today. Otherwise, I would have come here for nothing. Among the three people present, Mommy was the most talkative. Gu Yunka always answered with a gentle smile. Although Gu Xingyin was a little quiet, it could be seen that she was in a good mood. They enjoyed the meal very much. When it was time to pay the bill, Gu Yunka certainly wouldn't miss the opportunity to show his gentlemanly demeanor. After paying the bill, he sent the two girls back to school regardless of their refusal. Take care, Miss Gu. The two girls arrived at the school gate and said goodbye to him. Chapter 761. After Gu Yunka left, Momo sighed and said, Mr. Gu is such a handsome and gentle man. What kind of girl is worthy of him? Seeing that Gu Xingyin didn't answer, she suddenly asked, Qing, what do you think of Mr. Gu? Gu Xingyin answered casually, he's good. Looking at Momo's expectant expression, she asked suspiciously, you don't have that kind of feeling for him, do you? Momo shook her head quickly. How could it be? If I want to find a boyfriend, I don't want to find a man who is more handsome than me. He is not as attractive as my boyfriend when he goes out, and I have to spend a lot of effort to get rid of a lot of rivals. Mr. Gu was obviously not short of girls who liked him. Momo didn't want to live such a tiring life. However, she looked at Gu Xingyin and said with a smile, I think you are very good. You see, both of you are extremely beautiful. If you go out together, aren't you a perfect couple? Besides, you have the most adorable height difference. This was what Chu Qing disliked most. Gu Xingyin pretended to be angry and said, Momo, believe it or not, if you talk about height again, don't expect me to bring you food in the future. It was a matter of food rations, so Momo immediately begged for mercy without moral integrity. I was wrong, Qing. Just pretend I didn't say anything. Look at my sincere big eyes. Gu Xingyin glanced at her. You have the nerve to say that you have big eyes in front of me? Momo looked at her with a stunned face and was about to cry. I didn't expect you to be like this, Chu Qing. I don't love you anymore. I want to find a new love. Gu Xingyin didn't want to talk with this girl who was too dramatic. She said lazily, goodbye. The next day, the students who finished the last course felt that they were alive again. Unlike the other students who wanted to go out and have fun, Gu Xingyin and Momo returned to the dormitory after lunch. The first thing they did was turn on their computers. Gu Xingyin logged in after switching accounts. Soon Drunk Dusk sent a message. It was obviously a reminder to go online. Are you done with your work? Gu Xingyin didn't say she was doing it for the exam. She only said that she had something to do in real life. I'm done, she replied. She posted in the official group chat of Peach Blossom Forest. Dreaming of Tanglin Jianzi. Qingjiu, you're finally online. Did you see the Weibo post? Qingjiu in the clouds. Celestial in the clouds. Gu logged in Qingjiu Weibo Qingjiu. Dreaming of the Tang Dynasty. Eiling Yinzi. That Liangzi loves eating buns is up to something again. Dada Qingjiu, go and take a look. Gu Xingyin had seen it. She clicked on Liangzi loves buns Weibo, and realized that the previous Weibo post had been deleted. Her latest Weibo post was a long and sincere apology letter. In the letter, she explained that she had just entered the industry and she had a sensitive personality. Hence, during the audition for Peach Blossom Forest, she thought the Almighties didn't like her and said those words. Later, when she found out that it was all a misunderstanding, she posted a Weibo post to apologize. What made people speechless was that she even tagged the members of the Roles of Mountains and Rivers Club and Qingjiu one by one. She even posted a message on Weibo. Gu Xingyin opened it and listened. I'm Liangzi. I was in the wrong earlier. I apologize to all the Almighties. That voice was so coy that it made Gu Xingyin shudder. Gu Xingyin's seemingly insincere apology letter received many people's approval. Chapter 762. Those people were mostly male fans. They had no resistance against girls who acted coquettishly. Perhaps it was because they were on the internet. No matter what others did, they would at most take a look. Things that didn't affect them would usually be dismissed with a laugh. Some self-proclaimed reasonable passers-by tagged Qingjio and the others, saying how pitiful a young lady was. Since she had already admitted her mistake, there was no need to be calculative. You're so thick-skinned that you can even represent others' thoughts. While Gu Xingyin was watching, Liangzi Loves Eating Buns posted on Weibo, saying that to thank everyone for their support and understanding, she would start a live broadcast the day after tomorrow. Gu Xingyin closed her Weibo and exited. Qingjio, celestial in the clouds. Don't bother about her. She's just trying to please the crowd. Drunken Dusk, Crown Prince Luyan. Qingjio is right. With Liangzi Loves Eating Buns, we're just letting her take the opportunity to boost her popularity. To gain a foothold in the industry, one doesn't rely on one's looks. Director. Right, don't bother about her. It's not like such people haven't appeared before. Now they're nowhere to be seen. Mountains and Rivers in the sleeves. We'll officially start the production of Peach Blossom Forest today. Is everyone okay with it? We've informed them a week in advance, so there's no problem. Although they said they were going to start recording, Gu Xingyin spent most of her time recording Celestial in the Clouds and Huang Tian's dry voice recordings. She only needed to rehearse with Drunken Dusk when there were particularly intense emotional scenes. After rehearsing twice, the two of them realized that it felt better this way. Hence, the two of them chatted privately for a long time to confirm which parts they would rehearse together. They also planned out the time. After all, the two of them weren't professional voice actors. They couldn't spend all their time on this. On the first week, Gu Xingyin handed in the dry voice recordings. Within 5 minutes, Tea Blossom sent a message. It's perfect. Tea Blossom's words were sincere because Gu Xingyin handed her 2 dry voice recordings. One was Celestial in the Clouds, and the other was Huang Tian. 2 completely different people, 2 completely different voices, and even the way they spoke was different. However, Gu Xingyin was the perfect example. Even though he had personally heard Gu Xingyin speak with 2 voices at the same time, Zhu Cha still found it inconceivable. The official account of Peach Blossom Forest had already released the news. When the list of voice actors was announced, the audience was in an uproar. Everyone could understand why Drunken Dusk would host Prince Flowing Cloud. This god's strength and voice were definitely guaranteed, and it matched Prince Flowing Cloud's feelings very well. But what the hell was Song Qingjio commanding Immortal in the Clouds? It wasn't that Itsu Qingjio wasn't capable enough. It was just that her style had always been more domineering and fierce. Asking her to be the cold and aloof celestial among the clouds? Was the scroll of mountains and rivers a joke? The Liangzi Love Steamed Buns incident, which had caused a stir last week, seemed to be caused by the casting of Yin Zhongxian. At that time, everyone felt that Liangzi Loves Buns was not suitable for the role, which led to the catfight. Could it be that the people of Scroll of Mountains and Rivers felt that Song Qingjio was suitable for the role? If fans had to say, the fiery female battle god Phoenix Genius in Peach Blossom Forest was more suitable for her, right? Chapter 763. Wait a minute. The sharp-eyed people saw Itsu Qingjio's name on the list below. It was clearly stated that Itsu Qingjio was also in charge of Huang Tian's character. What? Could it be that Shanha Scroll mixed up the names when he released the list? In an instant, countless comments appeared under the official account, all asking if there was a mistake in the list. Shanha Scroll had long expected such a situation. Shanha Scroll personally released a statement on Weibo, saying that there was no mistake in the list. In other words, Itsu Qingjio was indeed in charge of 2 characters, and they were 2 popular characters with different styles. Once this news was verified, all sorts of anti-fans started jumping out. Among them, there were fans of the original novel, Peach Blossom Forest. This group of people was more rational, claiming that they were also fans of Itsu Qingjio. Although she was capable, she should consider her own situation. Her style wasn't suitable for Immortal in the Clouds. There were also Shanha Scroll's opponents, as well as some who couldn't stand Itsu Qingjio. Compared to the previous group of people, They basically started scolding. They said that Shanha Scroll's brain must have gone haywire. After being in the industry for so many years, didn't she have some basic common sense? It was obvious that letting Itsu Chingyo take on the role of a mortal in the clouds would ruin this character, and even this web drama. There were also people who said that Itsu Chingyo was relying on her identity as a guru to take on this job, even if she didn't have a diamond in the rough. She was just waiting for the web drama to be aired to slap her in the face. Another group of people were passers-by who didn't know what was going on. These people were the ones who were wavering the most. They felt that what the Book of Mountains and Rivers said made sense. However, they felt that the Book of Mountains and Rivers must have its own reasons for doing so. Blindly stirring things up would only make things more complicated. But with this commotion, Peach Blossom Forest became even more famous. This drama was one of the most popular dramas in the industry, but it was only one of them. There were a few other popular dramas at the same time, and Peach Blossom Forest wasn't at the stage where it stood alone. But with this, Peach Blossom Forest gained an unprecedented amount of attention. Many people who weren't interested in this drama were curious about what kind of script could cause such a huge reaction. And who was Itsu Chingyo? Why were there so many comments about her? However, Shanha Scrolls Club wouldn't change their mind. The official account once again issued a statement, making it clear that the selection of Itsu Chingyo as the main character of Immortal in the Clouds was based on a comprehensive consideration of various factors. The Mountain and River Scroll Society believes that Itsu Chingyo has the ability to portray this character perfectly. Fans can wait and see. The Mountain and River Scroll and Itsu Chingyo will definitely not disappoint. At this time, Liangzi Loves Steamed Buns came out to cause trouble again. Shanha Weibo's Weibo. Liangzi Loves Steamed Buns. I finally know the difference between a newbie and a guru. This time, she learned to be smarter and didn't say it out loud. But who among the fans didn't know what she meant? This meant that she was not suitable for the role of the Celestial in the Clouds, so the Mountain River Scroll Society directly removed her. But Itsu Chingyo was a guru, so her treatment was different. So even though she knew that she was not suitable for this role, the Scroll of Mountains and Rivers still chose her without hesitation. Chapter 764. Gu Xingyin only wanted to say one thing. Miss Bun, you're really courting death as long as you live. Wouldn't it be better to just buy some melon seeds and soda and sit by the side to watch the show? If not, it's fine if you used a side account to kick someone when they're down. But why did you have to use your main account to taunt them? You're just pulling aggro for yourself. She really couldn't understand this girl's train of thought. What was Liangzi Loves Eating Bun thinking? She really didn't think too much about it. She only saw how Mountain River Scroll and Itsu Chingyo were scolded so badly. As a newbie who had grudges with them, she didn't feel the need to pretend to be so magnanimous. Speaking of which, during this period of time, she had been lectured by Chunhua and Qiushi, and she finally started to understand this circle. And because she had an inexplicable desire to compare with Itsu Chingyo, she specially paid attention to Itsu Chingyo's works. Precisely because of this, Miss Bun, who felt that she was very familiar with Itsu Chingyo's style, firmly believed that Itsu Chingyo definitely couldn't portray the otherworldly aura of Immortal in the Clouds. Her logic was like this. Itsu Chingyo was destined to be mocked this time, so what if she joined in? Chunhua and Qiushi expressed that they were mentally exhausted. He and Liangzi Loves Eating Bun noodles were gay. Although he didn't like the heavy makeup on her face, he could still tell that she was a petite girl with pretty facial features. They were currently at the stage of being friends, but not yet lovers. Hence at this time, Chunhua and Qiushi were still very patient with this girl. But no matter how patient they were, they couldn't stand her doing such brainless things without discussing it with them. Yes, brainless. Chunhua and Qiushi couldn't help but use this adjective to describe such behavior. He and Gu Xingyin had similar thoughts. You're a newbie, so you should just stay in your own territory and not cause trouble. If you really hated Itsu Chingyo and Mountain River Scroll to death, you could spend some money to hire some ghostwriters to slander them. If you did this secretly, you wouldn't be able to find out. Moreover, Mountain River Scroll probably wouldn't be in the mood to investigate this at this time. But she didn't do that. She just had to use such a stupid move. He was so angry that he called Liangzi Love Steamed Bun. Liangzi, why did you post on Weibo? Although the two of them had met in real life, they were used to addressing each other in the circle. Liangzi Love Steamed Bun was happy to hear this. She wanted to ask Chunhua and Qiushi for praise. Well, I just can't stand Mountain River Scroll and Itsu Qingjiu. Especially Qingjiu. She lectured me during the audition, but she herself. Liangzi. Chunhua and Qiushi interrupted her, trying to calm themselves down. You're already an adult. Can you not be so childish in your revenge? Hearing this, Liangzi Love Steamed Buns said coldly. What do you mean? Do you think I'm stupid? So what if I don't like them? I'm going to slap them in the face. Not just this time. When their works are out, I'm going to slap them in the face again. Chunhua and Qiushi couldn't take it anymore and hung up. Liangzi Love Steamed Bun was stunned for a moment before she realized that someone had hung up on her. Chunhua, Qiushi, you're good. She threw her phone on the king bed and sat down angrily. Chapter 765. She sat for a while and thought of something. She picked up the phone that she had just thrown aside and made a call. Hello, Mingji. After hanging up the phone, Chunhua and Qiushi began to look at Liangzi Loves Bun's Weibo. The more they looked, the darker their faces became. This idiot. Did she think that by slandering others, her fans would stand on her side and fight against a common enemy with her? Wrong. Who was the one who posted a sincere apology letter not long ago? If she was a little smarter, she would have hidden herself away and not gotten involved in this mess. But now, they didn't come looking for her, and she was the one who went looking for trouble. She scrolled up and sure enough, except for a few comments, most of the comments were ridiculing her. Although those fans were also ridiculing under the official Weibo, they were still loyal fans of the Mountain and River Scroll. The mentality of these fans was roughly similar to, I can ridicule Mountain and River Scroll if I want to, but Liangzi Loves Buns, who do you think you are? A newcomer who just entered the industry, who gave you the face to ridicule them. Looking up at the moon. I remember that not long ago, someone had a look of regret, and said that she really knew she was wrong. She didn't know anything when she entered the industry, and hoped that everyone in the Mountain and River Scroll would forgive her. How long has it been? Her true face has been revealed. Liangzi Loves Buns Bright Moon Knows My Heart. Liangzi Loves Buns is definitely the real-life version of a White Lotus green tea bitch. Speaking of which, upstairs your ID and I are very faded. Looking up at the moon, eh? Yes. Come follow each other. Bright Moon Knows My Heart. White Lotus. Liangzi. Look at my ID. Chunhua and Qiushi looked at these comments and knew that their efforts to give Liangzi ideas to help her win back some fans had all been in vain. Unless she changed her ID, the name Liangzi Loves Buns would be completely useless in this industry. He prepared to call Liangzi and explain the current situation. But who knew that the first call would be directly hung up, and the subsequent calls would be turned off? Is she still angry at me? Chunhua and Qiushi were so angry that they laughed. Since it was her own business, they would just leave her alone for a few days. In fact, the reason why he was so enthusiastic about Liangzi's love to eat buns was not only because of their relationship in real life, but also because of Liangzi's love to eat buns personality. Most fans knew that he had a close relationship with her, and many people even put the two of them together. Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns had done so much to ruin her reputation. Even Chunhua and Qiushi's reputation had been affected. In the past few days, many of his fans had left his fan club. The better ones left without a word. Some people even said that they couldn't take it anymore before leaving, making the people who stayed in the group feel uneasy. His group manager had complained to him several times, saying that the atmosphere in the group was very tense and she couldn't manage it. Chunhua and Qiushi were very tired. The fans of the Scroll of Mountains and Rivers were not under as much pressure as the outside world thought. If they weren't confident, they would have panicked. But this time, Mountains and Rivers in Sleeves was full of energy to create a classic in the online matching circle. He had absolute confidence in the cast of Peach Blossom Forest. Moreover, the song Qingjio that everyone thought was a flaw would not be the downfall of the drama. On the contrary, she would be the fairy in the clouds that would amaze everyone. Chapter 766. Gu Xingyin heaved a sigh of relief after sending out the last part. Finally, it was a success. Next, she just had to wait for the Mountain River Scroll team to start the follow-up work. Then her matter was basically over. Gu Xingyin had high expectations for this drama. If she wanted to win an award this year, it was highly likely that she would win this drama. Her QQ rang. Drunken Dusk. Congratulations. It's a success. Gu Xingyin couldn't help but laugh. Chu Qingjiu, you too. Gu Yunke looked at the screen and paused for a moment. He recalled what Dream of Tang said to her. He moved his fingers and sent a message. Drunken Dusk. I want to ask if you're interested in joining our Mountain River Scroll team? Based on his understanding of her, Chu Qingjiu wasn't as aloof as he thought. It seemed like most of the rumors were just rumors. Gu Xingyin was shocked. Chu Qingjiu was only interested in this circle and didn't want to get involved with others. Hence, she didn't have much of a relationship with others. But such a loner would often be at a disadvantage. Chu Qingjiu. Are you inviting me on behalf of the club? Hearing this, Gu Yunke was stunned for a moment before realizing the meaning of her words. Drunken Dusk, of course. Many people in our Mountain River Scroll team are your fans. Chu Qingjiu, okay. Drunken Dusk clicked into the Mountain River Scroll team's internal group. Dusk, I just invited Qingjiu to join our club. She agreed. Dream of Tang was the first to join. Tang, really? Dusk, you're amazing. Thumbs up, tea time. Dusk is really successful. Queen, Qingjiu, my goddess. Dusk, quickly invite her in. The next moment, a notification appeared on the screen. Chu Qingjiu has joined the group. Dusk, welcome Tang. Welcome Qingjiu, tea time. Welcome Qingjiu. Mountains and rivers in sleeves, welcome. Chu Qingjiu. Thank you everyone. Gu Xingyin looked at the group members and had to admit that Mountain River Scroll was indeed a huge club. In addition to some familiar names in this circle, there were also many rising newcomers this year, and even a few novel authors. Naturally, Mountain River Scrolls posted a Weibo to express his welcome. This time, some of the anti-fans came out again. I'm black, so I'm here. I was wondering why the immortal in the clouds spot fell to Qingjiu this time. It seems like the Scroll of Mountains and Rivers was paving the way for its own guru? Originally, I thought that a big guild like Scroll of Mountains and Rivers would have a more strict style. But now it seems I can't think of a name, so I'll just make do with it. TSK. Watching the Mountain River Scroll is courting death. There were also fans of Mountain River Scroll and Song Qingjiu who expressed their happiness. Mountains and Rivers Scroll. Ah, my goddess has joined Mountains and Rivers Scroll. His life was complete. The Lost Scroll of Mountains and Rivers. Complete life +1. A cup of wine. My goddess actually joined a club. That's not easy. Congratulations. My goddess Qingjiu. Mountain River Scroll looks pretty good. Let's wait for the immortal in the clouds. Ika Qingjiu. For the next 2 weeks, Gu Xingyin had a very leisurely time. After the exams, the internet sent her a dry voice message, asking her to record a new one. Until that night, tea time at all the members who had participated in the production of Peach Blossom Forest. The finished product of Peach Blossom Forest was finally out. Chapter 767. Everyone was invited into a private room. After the ethereal and melodious music at the beginning, Mountain River Volume, Peach Blossom Forest. Everyone could tell that it was Drunken Dusk's voice. The beginning of the script started with a little flower demon being selfish and falling in love with a demon from the demon realm. When Celestial Cloud appeared, many people held their breaths. Other than the director and a few other people in the post-production team, most of them had never seen the finished product. Although they had heard Gu Xingyin's voice during the audition, they did not know if she would be able to perform as well as she did in the actual dubbing. You violated the laws of heaven and had an affair with the demon world. I can't save you. A cold and ethereal voice rang in everyone's ears. When they heard this voice, the image of a white-clothed goddess surrounded by clouds all day long seemed to appear before their eyes. The little flower fairy who fell in love with the demon world was the maid who served Celestial Cloud for 1,000 years. People say that Celestial Cloud is cold-hearted and heartless. Today, Huaya witnessed it for myself. You and I have been master and servant for 1,000 years, but in the end, you're not even willing to say a word for me. Huaya cursed hatefully. Celestial Cloud. I curse you to always have a heart of stone. Those who love you will never be able to obtain your true heart. You can be so heartless and cold for the rest of your life. I've already dug out my heart for you. Celestial Cloud. Can't you turn around and look at me? The arrogant and noble man looked at her in despair. The plain-clothed woman's expression didn't change. Celestial Cloud has never had a heart. Your Highness, please go back. Demon World's dog. Does anyone dare to come out and fight with Huang Tian? The fierce-looking woman was wearing a fiery red battle armor. She pointed her silver spear at the other party and laughed, her black hair fluttering in the wind. It wasn't until the drama ended that everyone realized that several hours had passed. Everyone had the same feeling as if they hadn't had enough. After a long while, Dream of Tang spoke. His voice was filled with excitement and anticipation. I have a feeling that once this drama is released, the online dubbing circle will explode. After a pause, he continued. I want to worship Lord Qingjiu. How did you do it? They are two completely different voices. That's right. Although there were many outstanding aspects in the web series, the greatest gem was still Itsu Qingjiu. Gu Xingyin suddenly became playful. I don't know either. Maybe it's because my voice is different from others? Which one do you think sounds better? She said these 3 sentences with 3 different voices. The first was the domineering female voice that Song Qingjiu was most famous for. The second was Celestial Cloud's voice. As for the third, Gu Xingyin used her original voice in real life. Her voice was actually the same as her appearance, sweet and crisp. When she spoke softly, it was as sweet as honey. Dream of Tang typed 2 words on the public chat. He was convinced. Then, the screen was flooded with comments. A cup of tea. I'm convinced. Huiying, convinced. Cha-cha. I'm convinced. Dusk. I'm convinced. Mountains and rivers in sleeves. I'm convinced. When Drunken Dusk heard that last voice, he was surprised for a moment. Then he laughed silently. He sent a private message over. What a coincidence. That last voice of yours is very similar to someone I know. When Gu Xingyin saw this, her expression froze. It couldn't be so coincidental, right? Could it be that this Drunken Dusk actually knew Chu Qing? Chapter 768. She thought about it carefully. Chu Qing was very clear about the difference between real life and the 2D world. Even the Chu family only knew what kind of voice acting their daughter liked to do, but they didn't know the details. Logically speaking, this shouldn't be the case. Could it be a classmate from school? She thought for a while but couldn't think of anything. She only replied to Drunk Dusk vaguely. Really? My voice is very changeable. Who knows, I might have bumped into someone. Drunk Dusk didn't want her to muddle through. I'm teaching for a friend at Z University. There's a girl in his class with this voice. And coincidentally, her name is quite similar to your ID. He sent a voice message. Gu Xingyin was stunned when she opened it. Wasn't this Gu Yunka? She remembered Gu Yunka's voice. No wonder she felt that his voice was familiar when she first met him. He must have done some processing when he was dubbing, resulting in some differences between the real world and the online world. Then the question was, should she admit it? Gu Xingyin rested his chin on his hand and thought for a moment before deciding to play dumb. Chu Qingjiu. Haha, is that so? What a coincidence. She neither admitted nor denied it. Gu Yunka saw through her thoughts but didn't point it out. There was a PE class tomorrow, right? During the PE class the next day, Gu Xingyin came to the assembly point and saw that Gu Yunka had arrived early. At the beginning, it was the usual warm-up, followed by the training plan left by teacher Liang. The students were miserable. They all said that the gentle teacher Gu was gone and never returned. Gu Yunka smiled. You're done with your exams, right? You should train well now. The students didn't have much to say. They said that the training given to them by this teacher was too much. She didn't just stand by and watch. Instead, she accompanied everyone to complete the tasks one by one. However, seeing how easily she completed all the tasks, even if they saw it with their own eyes, The students still felt that Teacher Gu must be doing a different task than them. Fortunately, the students still had time to rest after a long class. Gu Xingyin felt a little thirsty. She said goodbye to Chen Chen and got up to buy a bottle of drink. When she walked out, she saw Gu Yunke standing at the side. "Teacher?" she asked in surprise. Gu Yunke glanced at her. "I heard from Momo that your favorite hobby in your spare time is dubbing for web dramas." Gu Xingyin was stunned. How did Momo reveal her identity so quickly? Impossible. She understood Momo's character. Although she often spoke without thinking, she knew what was important and what was not. She knew that some things should be said and some should not be said. Chu Qing clearly did not want others to know about this matter. She could not simply say it out. System. Gu Xingyin finally called out to the system that she had forgotten for a long time. "Don't worry, host, I didn't say it out loud." Was he trying to trick him? Gu Xingyin blinked and looked at Gu Yunke with a smile. "Teacher, what do you want to ask? Just say it. You don't have to test me." She walked to the side and sat under the shade of a tree. This position was very good. The back of the field was blocked by the snack bar, so no one could see what was happening here. "I am Chu Qingjiu," she said frankly. "Teacher is drunk in dusk." Gu Yunke didn't expect her to say it out so frankly. He walked over and sat beside her. "I never thought that Chu Qingjiu would be like this in real life." Chapter 769. Gu Xingyin turned her head to look at him. "Then what do you think Chu Qingjiu is like?" Gu Yunke thought about it carefully and shook his head. "Actually, I haven't thought about it seriously. But I always feel that your appearance is very different from the impression she gives people." Gu Xingyin laughed out loud. "You all think that Chu Qingjiu should be a tough girl. Now that you see me as a cute girl. Are you surprised?" Gu Yunke didn't expect her to say it so frankly, and was a little embarrassed. Gu Xingyin continued. "Then Teacher Gu, why do you want to take off my disguise so much?" Gu Yunke looked at her with a smile. "Because I want to pursue you." Gu Xingyin almost spat out the drink in his mouth when he heard this. She looked at him in disbelief. "The wind was too strong just now. I didn't hear it clearly." Gu Yunke's smile didn't change. He repeated clearly, "I want to pursue you, Chu Qing." Gu Xingyin regained her composure. "Teacher Gu, teacher-student relationships don't end well." She emphasized the word teacher. Gu Yunke was still gentle. "That has nothing to do with us. I'm just a part-time worker." "Gu Xingyin." She turned her head to look at him. "Then Teacher Gu pursues me because of my face?" She wasn't boasting, but with Chu Qing's appearance, there were simply too many boys pursuing her in Z University. Gu Yunke's answer was quite honest. "Your appearance is part of my attraction, but what really interests me is you." He first noticed her because he found out that she was Chu Qingjiu. Beauty wasn't a particularly attractive thing to him. Gu Xingyin was still thinking about how to answer when her phone rang. It was Momo. "Qing, why are you taking so long to buy a drink?" "I'll be back soon." Gu Xingyin stood up and turned back to Gu Yunke. "Momo asked me to go over." She didn't say anything else and just walked over. Gu Yunke stood behind her for a while until her figure disappeared around the corner of the house. Then she lowered her eyes. "I thought you went outside the school to buy drinks?" Lu Zilong joked. Gu Xingyin handed her a bottle, without saying a word. After returning to the dormitory, she logged into QQ and saw a message from Gu Yunke. "I'll be waiting for your answer." Gu Xingyin thought for a moment and replied, "It depends on your performance." After that, he added, "When you're in school, you're not allowed to show any signs." Gu Yunke was still a PE teacher in name. Gu Xingyin didn't want to have a teacher-student relationship, even if it was fake. Sitting in front of the computer, Gu Yunke laughed. To him, such a reply was no different from an agreement. Under the anticipation of all the fans, Peach Blossom Forest was finally released. The radio play was released at noon. In just one afternoon, the number of plays of the whole play had reached a terrifying number. In the evening, the comment section below had exploded. "Oh my God, that celestial in the clouds has such a beautiful voice. Little White, may I ask for your advice? I want to be her fan." I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Celestial in the Clouds is really Chu Qingjiu's match? I don't believe it even if you beat me to death. Celestial in the Clouds and Huang Tian are obviously two completely different voices, okay? Is it really good for you to deceive yourselves like this? However, no matter how many people complained, it was a fact that the play was popular. Chapter 770. None of the web dramas released at the same time could compete with her. However, following the popularity of Peach Blossom Forest, Qingjiu also became a hot topic. Everyone said that Peach Blossom Forest was definitely using the Almighty's name as a cover, saying that Huang Tian was a good match for her. But Celestial amidst the clouds was clearly another person. Mountain River Scroll's actions had violated a taboo in the industry. But no matter what the outside world said, Mountain River Scroll's side didn't relent. Originally, they didn't have much to say since it was just Qingjiu's voice. Because of this, Teacup even privately asked Gu Xingyin to apologize to her. They could have clarified this matter earlier, but Mountain River Scroll didn't say anything. They couldn't rule out the idea of using this matter to stir things up. Gu Xingyin expressed her understanding. She replied, "It's okay. It's my duty to promote the production team." Mountain River Scroll was using her to stir things up, but wasn't she using this matter to stir things up as well? Teacup asked again. In a few days we will have an interaction with the fans via voice chat. Are you willing to participate? Everyone knew that Chu Qingjiu would never participate in such interactions. Even when she was drinking a cup of tea, it was just a routine question. But who knew that Gu Xingyin only hesitated for a moment before agreeing? Okay, let me know the time and room number. That meant she agreed. Teacup had a look of disbelief on his face. Wasn't it rumored that Qingjiu was aloof, cold, and unsociable? Why was it completely different from what he had seen recently? Although this lady didn't speak much, she was quite a nice person. Thinking of what people on the internet were saying, Zhu Cha understood. Qingjiu was being slandered badly by others. After receiving Gu Xingyin's affirmation, Teacup posted on Weibo under Mountain River Scroll's name. Next Thursday at 7:30 p.m., Mountain River Scroll's Peach Blossom Forest will see you there. Below was the name list of the people participating in the interaction, as well as the room number and other information. Qingjiu's name was on the name list. Who didn't know that this god never participated in any form of fan interaction? How did Scroll of Mountains and Rivers do it? Zhu Cha even wrote an explanation. I know everyone is curious about how Qingjiu managed to portray the celestial being in the clouds. This is her unique technique. Wait for Qingjiu to reveal it to you next Thursday. Go. He had to go. The fans were itching to do so. According to the Scroll of Mountains and Rivers, did that mean that Immortal in the Clouds had really used a song of sake? Otherwise, where did they get the confidence to say such a thing with such certainty? Then the question was if Immortal in the Clouds was really Chu Qingjiu. How did she do it? Looking at the popularity of the comments below, Zhu Cha exited the vlog in satisfaction. Although she had high expectations for this drama, the popularity of Peach Blossom Grove still far exceeded her expectations. As a director, what could make him happier than seeing his work being welcomed by his fans? On Gu Xingyin's side, ever since Drunken Dusk opened up to her, she didn't have to worry about private chats anymore. Qing, I remember that you don't have classes this Friday afternoon. Are you willing to go watch a movie with me? She asked directly. Teacher Gu, I remember that I haven't agreed to it, Gu Xingyin replied. Gu Yunke replied calmly. That's why I'm pursuing you step by step. Chapter 771. He had been surrounded by many people since he was a child, and he had never thought about the relationship between men and women. This was the first time he was pursuing a girl, and it might be the only time in his life. He didn't know if his method was right or not, so he could only take one step at a time so that the other party wouldn't be displeased. In the end, Gu Xingyin agreed. Gu Yunke, the scheming man, chose a very classic romance movie. Gu Xingyin looked at the year of the movie and sighed that it was hard for him to find a cinema where this movie was shown. Because it was a movie from a long time ago, there were not many people in the cinema, and there was no one around them. Yunka was very satisfied with such an environment. He searched for information on Baidu, and it was said that the probability of confession could increase by 10 points when watching this movie. It was a classic movie after all. Even though Gu Xingyin had seen it before, he was still attracted by the plot. Yunka turned his head slightly. The light was very dim, and he could only roughly see the gentle outline of the girl beside him. She seemed to be watching it very seriously, and she was even holding the snacks he bought for her in her arms. "I'm willing to spend the rest of my life to give you a home." The male lead in the movie said the classic confession line. At the same time, Gu Xingyin felt that his palm was covered by something warm. It was another person's hand. "I'm willing to spend the rest of my life to give you a home. Are you willing to be its mistress?" The man's affectionate voice sounded in his ear. The scene of the movie suddenly changed at this time, and the screen suddenly lit up for a second. Gu Xingyin happened to look at the man's bright eyes when he turned his head. The way he looked at her was filled with love that couldn't be dissolved or cut off. Such a scene, such a confession, such a person. She couldn't refuse. Gu Yunka was still calm on the surface, but only he knew how fast his heart was beating at this time. Even in the summer when he was 18 years old, when he saw the college entrance examination results, he was not as nervous as he was now. The girl opposite him didn't speak, and his heart became cold little by little. "It's okay," he told himself. "I still have a lot of time. I can take it slow. She will be mine." However, there was still a trace of disappointment and bitterness in his heart, until the hand under his palm suddenly moved, and then flipped over, gently holding his hand, and interlocking their fingers. "I'm very difficult to raise." A mischievous voice with a hint of laughter rang out. His heart, which had not yet completely cooled down, seemed to have been poured with a cup of hot cocoa. It became hot again, and was filled with a thick sweet fragrance. His fingers were tightly intertwined with hers. As for the second half of the movie, he didn't pay attention to it at all. Until the end of the movie, he was still holding her hand tightly, and the two of them left the theater hand in hand. The light outside made Gu Xingyin feel uncomfortable for a moment. The next moment, she felt a shadow in front of her blocking her way. After a while, she blinked and smiled at the man standing in front of her. "All right. Where do you plan to take me?" she asked. Gu Yunka turned around, and her face and eyes were full of smiles. "Of course it's a date." After watching the movie, the next step was a date walk, followed by a romantic dinner, and lastly flowers. This was the necessary step of a date he had seen. Sometimes he had to admit that some things, even if they were said to be old, could become classics for a reason. Chapter 772. However, in the end, Gu Xingyin still rejected the last option of sending flowers. If she were to carry a bouquet of flowers back to school, although it wasn't rare in university, it would attract attention. Not to mention, Ruowu was a curious person who wouldn't be able to stop himself from getting to the bottom of it. For the time being, she didn't have any intention of telling anyone about this. In the blink of an eye, it was Thursday. After Gu Xingyin finished his dinner, he informed the people in the group, and went into his room. When she entered the room, she realized that there were hundreds of people inside. She glanced at the time. It was only 6:30 p.m. At that moment, the screen was filled with words, and Gu Xingyin couldn't keep up with it. Some sharp-eyed people saw Qingjiu enter and started scrolling. "Qingjiu is here. Hello Qingjiu. Qingjiu, I'm your brainless fan. Qingjiu, can you explain about Celestial in the clouds?" Gu Xingyin felt a headache coming on as she looked at the speed of the scrolling. She replied, "Hello everyone." Hanging there, she closed the window. She'd better wait for them to arrive before answering their questions. After another half an hour, Gu Xingyin logged in again, and saw that most of the people in Shanhe Scroll had already entered their rooms. But most of them were like her, hanging there. It wasn't that they were aloof or anything, but that the fans' questions were highly overlapping. If they really had to answer a question, they would have to answer a question several times or even more than 10 times. No one would be able to take it. And the atmosphere in the room was at its peak. Even though there was no voice actor to answer their questions, the fans were still happily scrolling through the screen. Finally, it was 7:30 p.m., and Zhuangcha activated the mute mode. Only then did Gu Xingyin's vision turn quiet. Zhuangcha's voice rang in the room. First of all, thank you for coming to the Peach Blossom Forest fan interaction meeting. I'm Zhuangcha, and I'm also the host of this event. She paused for a moment before continuing. I know everyone has a lot of questions in their hearts. We've sorted out some of them, and we'll answer them all here. She turned on the screen but muted the microphone. Only the designated people could speak. The first question. These questions were carefully selected by her. When the fans were spamming the screen just now, most of the voice actors were hanging up. She was the only one who was seriously watching. After several voice actors spoke up, the topic that all the fans were concerned about was finally read out in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. About the dubbing of Celestial in the Clouds. Please welcome our Qingjiu. Gu Xingyin took a look and found that she could speak again. She paused for a moment before saying, Hello everyone, I'm Song Qingjiu. This voice was Qingjiu's standard voice, which was the voice that all fans were very familiar with. The fans below were also very supportive. Their screens were swiping very quickly. Gu Xingyin did not disappoint them, and directly gave them the answer they wanted. I know that everyone is very curious as to whether I was the one who dubbed Celestial in the Clouds. Now, I can tell you with certainty that I was the one who dubbed Immortal in the Clouds. For those who want to doubt me, listen to what I have to say. Do you have any other questions? She only said 3 sentences. The first sentence was in Huang Tian's voice. The second sentence was in Celestial in the Clouds' voice. For the third sentence, she returned to her previous greeting. The screen even paused for a second, which was rare. Then, it was covered with even more violent comments. Chapter 773. Boss, how did you do it? Amazing, my boss Qingjiu. Amazing. However, Gu Xingyin's microphone had already been turned off, and she didn't answer their questions. Following that, the voice actors were still answering questions from the fans. At 9:30 p.m., the 2-hour interactive meeting was over. In less than an hour, the audio clip spread throughout the voice acting circle. There were even fans who couldn't stand Liangzi Loves Buns who tagged her. One couldn't blame them for hating her. After Celestial Cloud's dubbing came out, she jumped out to mock her. A few days ago, after the fan interaction was released, she posted on her Weibo that she was waiting for Mountain River Volume to slap herself in the face. Now, it was indeed a slap in the face, but everyone could tell whose face it was. In contrast to Liangzi Loves Buns, who was hated by everyone in the industry, Qingjiu had gained countless fans based on her own abilities. Gu Xingyin weighed the pros and cons. Today, no matter if it was in terms of popularity, number of fans, or work, the title of Best Voice Actor had landed on her. She felt her entire body relax. Another thing was that their teacher Liang had finally returned. The students in the class expressed that they couldn't bear to see teacher Gu leave. After all, such a handsome man was rare. No one knew that on the first day Liang Zhe returned, his good friend informed him of something. What did you say? Liang Zhe widened his eyes at his good friend. He deeply felt that he had been blind all these years. This guy had pretended to be a wolf with a pure smile on his face for so many years. She's the flower of Z University. So many men want to pluck her, but they've all failed. How did you manage to get her? He lamented bitterly. Gu Yunka smiled gentlemanly. I have to thank you for giving me this opportunity. Qingqing and I will treat you to a meal another day. Liang Zhe waved his hand, indicating that he didn't want to talk to her right now. The impact of this incident on him was that he couldn't help but stare at Gu Xingyin during the next PE class. Even Feng Lin couldn't help but hold Gu Xingyin's hand and ask, could it be that our Ms. Liang has feelings for you because she was away on a business trip for a month and the distance created a sense of beauty? Gu Xingyin laughed. Don't talk nonsense. It seemed that Gu Yunka had told teacher Liang about her relationship with him. It was normal for Mr. Liang to not be used to the fact that his student had suddenly become his good friend's girlfriend. Fortunately, Liang Zhe knew that he was overreacting, so he restrained himself. Since Gu Yunka had left the school, Gu Xingyin didn't hide it from Momo. What did you say? Chen Chen's voice rose a few octaves. You're together with Miss Gu. Gu Xingyin was glad that the soundproofing of this apartment was very good. Otherwise, the whole academy would probably know about Momo's voice by tomorrow. Qingqing, you're really good. Chunchen, who came back to her senses, couldn't help but look at Gu Xingyin with starry eyes. Miss Gu, you're the Prince Charming of so many girls in our class. I can't believe that you've taken him down so quietly. Gu Xingyin glanced at her and snorted. Why don't you say it? I'm also the goddess in the hearts of countless men. And I'm so young and beautiful. It's his fortune to be able to pursue me. Chunchen knew that her roommate's little tsundere was acting up again, so she quickly smoothed her hair. After telling Chunchen not to tell anyone, Gu Xingyin turned on the computer. Gu Yunke's message popped up. Qingqing, there are many fans of Shanhe Scroll in Z City, and they plan to meet. I want to ask for your opinion. Chapter 774. The weather was good. Gu Xingyin woke up early in the morning, tidied herself up, and walked out of the school. Gu Yunke's car was parked not far from the school. Seeing Gu Xingyin come out, he was obviously stunned, a trace of surprise flashing across his eyes. You're extra pretty today, he complimented. Gu Xingyin raised her hand to stroke the hair that fell by her ears and said with a smile, Mr. Gu, you're very handsome too. She had deliberately dressed up today. Since she agreed to go for the meetup, with Chu Qing's personality, it would be interesting to outshine the crowd, right? The meetup location was set at a big hotel in City Z. The two were still on their way, but the group chat was already bustling with activity. Tang Tang, I'm already here. I saw a cup of tea and mountains and rivers in my sleeves. Hee, handsome and beautiful. I'll feast my eyes first. Gu Xingyin glanced at Gu Yunke, who was driving. Qingjiu, I'm on the way. About 20 more minutes. She then picked up Gu Yunke's phone. Dusk, I'm about 20 minutes away too. Tang Tang, yo, you two are so coincidental. Don't tell me you'll meet by coincidence first? Gu Xingyin pursed her lips and smiled, drawing Gu Yunke's gaze over. What's so funny? Gu Xingyin replied. Focus on driving. I'll show you when we arrive. Gu Xingyin continued to look at the people chatting in the group chat. Soon they arrived. By then, there were already many people seated in the private room. Dream of Tang Tang was young, and looked like he was still studying. He looked at the people in the private room and said to the group chat, We're still short of dusk, Qingjiu Yinin. Just then, the door was pushed open. A man and a woman who were dazzling enough to blind everyone walked in. The man was tall and handsome, with a gentle smile on his handsome face. The woman had a petite figure, exquisite facial features, and a sweet smile that blinded people's eyes. F***CK. Dream of Tang Tang was the first to stand up. Beauties. Don't speak first. Dream of Tang interrupted their self-introductions. The people sitting in front of the table were also looking at the two of them curiously. I guess you're Huang Han? Dream of Tang looked at Gu Yunke suspiciously. Gu Yunke nodded and turned to greet everyone. Hello everyone, I'm Drunk Dusk. Gu Xingyin stood there calmly, allowing Dream of Tang to size her up. She was also sizing up this boy who looked younger than her. His skin was a little pale, probably because he hadn't seen the sun for a long time. His facial features were unusually delicate and pretty. On a boy's body, such facial features could be said to be delicate. Dream of Tang matched the people in the group with the girl in front of him one by one, and found that none of them were right. I can't guess. Tang Meng was a little discouraged. He looked at Gu Xingyin suspiciously. You're not Huang Huan's family, are you? Gu Xingyin asked. Are you Tang Tang? As soon as she spoke, everyone's eyes lit up. They had been in the online voice acting circle for a long time, and were used to distinguishing a person's voice. This girl's voice was clean and clear. She was definitely a good seedling in the circle. You know I'm Tang Tang. Dream of Tang said halfway and jumped. I'm Tang Tang, don't call me Tang Tang. Gu Xingyin looked at him with a smile. Alright Tang Tang, I'm Qingjiu. What? Dream of Tang was dumbfounded. He wasn't the only one who was dumbfounded. Everyone present, except for Gu Yunke, looked surprised. Chapter 775. You're Qingjiu. When Dream of Tang Dynasty thought of the people in the club, the first person he thought of was Qingjio. In his heart, even if Qingjio wasn't the domineering queen of blazing hot lips, she was at least a capable and elegant worker. This pretty and cute girl who fit most men's aesthetic standards was Qingjio? Dream of Tang Dynasty felt like this world was a fantasy. Tang Dynasty, I'm Qingjio. Gu Xingyi knew that she would be questioned like this, so she used her voice in the voice acting circle to repeat herself. Damn, it's really great Qingjio. Dream of Tang Dynasty looked at her with a hopeless expression. Gu Xingyin was baffled. What's wrong with this kid? She sat down beside Gu Yunka, and Zhan Cha, who had regained his senses, held back his laughter as he said, Tang Tang has always been your fan. He was just discussing with us, saying that great Qingjio must be the legendary domineering queen. And then you guys came. It seemed like Dream of Tang Dynasty's image was shattered. He didn't even react when he heard others call him Tang Tang. It was quite a happy meetup. Mountains and rivers in the sleeves and Zhan Cha were a protective couple. When everyone found out about Gu Yunka and Gu Xingyin's relationship, they were also shocked. I knew there was something wrong with you. You told me you weren't close to great Qingjio. Dream of Tang Dynasty complained. Gu Yunka merely smiled. At that time, he didn't even know who Qingjio was. Overall, this meetup was quite pleasant. Everyone was already familiar with each other online. And after meeting, they chatted about the interesting things around them. Zhan Cha brought a camera, and after getting everyone's approval, he took many photos. I'll choose some and put them in the group photo album, she said. The next day, Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns came out to cause trouble. She posted several photos on her Weibo account. The man in the photos was tall and well-dressed, looking like a member of society. The girl in his arms had a petite figure and delicate features, and she was acting cute with her big eyes. Liangzi loves to eat steamed buns. I met Lord Chunhua Qiushi. Lord is so handsome. Oh, ___. Oh, Chunhua Qiushi eats you Qingjio Chunhua. And Qiushi were depressed when they saw this Weibo post. They were still in a cold war with Liangzi, and these photos were taken when they met in real life. What was she trying to do now? The most speechless thing was that it was fine if she tagged him, but what was the meaning of tagging Chu Qingjio? This was also the same question that the fans had. Was Liangzi Loves Buns trying to show off? Could it be that Qingjio really had some sort of relationship with Chunhua and Qiushi? However, not to mention others, the people from Mountain River Scroll had seen Huang Han and Qingjio together not long ago. With a boyfriend like Huang Han, would Qingjio even fancy Chunhua and Qiushi? Moreover, everyone believed that Chunhua and Qiushi had never seen Qingjio before. Otherwise, why would they embarrass Qingjio so many times for that bun? Dream of Tang Tang directly started to spit out on Weibo. Logically speaking, you're a girl. I shouldn't lower myself to your level. But what have you done? It's your own business if you like to show off. What has it got to do with our Lord Qingjio? She has a boyfriend, and the two of them have a good relationship. Put away your filthy thoughts. Liangzi loves to eat buns. Chapter 776. Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns was really showing off. She felt that since she had no hope of being a voice actress in this industry, she might as well take advantage of Chunhua and Qiushi's fame. She didn't know why she hated Chu Qingjio so much. Perhaps it was because ever since she expressed her close relationship with Chunhua and Qiushi, she had been constantly compared to Chu Qingjio. The fans on the internet were very straightforward. They expressed their thoughts directly. In their hearts, Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns and Eats You Qingjio couldn't be compared at all. Hence, Liangzi only saw how she was compared to Chu Qingjio. She hated that unfamiliar woman from the bottom of her heart. Actually, Chu Qingjio didn't even know who she was and wasn't interested in fighting with her over who was more suitable for Chunhua and Qiushi. However, the more Chu Qingjio acted like this, the more Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns felt that she was faking it. She wanted to find a chance to win a round against Chu Qingjio, so that she could take revenge for herself. Since she had no hope in dubbing for online dramas, what else did she have? In terms of looks, in terms of age, there were many other things she could compare with. Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns had always been confident in her looks. She felt that she understood men, and knew what kind of girls they liked. She had always relied on this to lead a good life. She didn't know if this would affect Chu Qingjiu's life, but at the very least, it wouldn't be a problem to disgust her. Anyway, her reputation in this industry was more or less ruined. However, her actions didn't affect Gu Xingyin at all. Instead, it was Chunhua and Qiushi who were implicated. The fans didn't find it enough to mock Liangzi Loves to Eat Bun's Weibo account, so they went to Chunhua and Qiushi's Weibo account to scold them. The sun is so big. D*MN Almighty, how blind must you be to fall for a woman like Bun? Why isn't it snowing yet? +1, Liangzi Loves to Eat Buns is AF * King Retard. Roses bloom in September. Upstairs, you guys don't understand. Men like good-looking women. Who cares if she has brains or tofu in her head? Spring Flower and Autumn Sure were so angry that they changed their Weibo to only allow people to post comments. However, this still couldn't stop the enthusiasm of his fans. In just a few days, the number of his fans on Weibo had increased by several thousand. However, when he clicked on it, he found that all of them had followed him in order to scold him. He immediately made a call. Liangzi, have you had enough? Liangzi Loves Steamed Bun was admiring her new bracelet in the mirror. She said lazily, "What's wrong? Why are you so angry? You didn't even ask for my permission before posting our photo on the internet. Have you ever respected me? Chunhua, Qiushi, if you're annoyed with me, then just say it. Don't make up these messy excuses." Liangzi Loves Steamed Bun sneered. Well, we haven't been intimate enough. Why don't we go our separate ways? After that, she didn't wait for Chunhua and Qiushi's response. She hung up the phone and blocked them. This man was no longer of any value to her now. Bitch. Chunhua and Qiushi looked at the phone that was hung up and finally couldn't help but curse. Chapter 777. Since the other party did such a thing, Chunhua and Qiushi stopped pretending to be good men. Chunhua and Qiushi. The photo above was taken a long time ago when Miss Liang Loves Buns and I met. In fact, after meeting her, I quickly discovered that Miss Liang Loves Buns and I are quite different in terms of personality and conduct. We haven't contacted each other for nearly a month. What he meant was that he wanted to cut all ties with Liangzi Loves Buns. However, Chunhua and Qiushi thought things were too simple. They thought that it was a good thing to cut ties with Liang Loves Buns. But they didn't expect that sometimes, when others had a bad impression of you, they would think that you had ulterior motives no matter what you did. For example, this time, when he posted on Weibo, a large number of people scolded him under his Weibo, saying that he was not a man. Seeing Liangzi Loves Buns in such a state, the first thing that came to their minds was not to protect her, but to get rid of her. Chunhua and Qiushi, who were also scolded like dogs, were speechless. He felt that it was better to keep a low profile during this time. He had to admit that Chunhua and Qiushi were smarter than Liang Loves Buns. After he disappeared, the fans saw that no matter what they said, Chunhua and Qiushi didn't say anything, so they stopped harassing him. Gu Xingyin received a piece of good news. The annual Best Voice Actor of the Year, jointly organized by the most famous clubs in the entertainment industry, had finally begun. Qingjiu's name was on the list of candidates. Aside from her, there were also 9 other gods that her fans were familiar with, including Drunk Dusk. This selection was decided by the fans themselves. Everyone had the right to vote, and they could vote for their favorite voice actor. Gu Xingyin knew that she had a high chance of winning, but when she saw the votes, she was still shocked. She was ahead of the second place by nearly 1/3 of the votes. The second place was none other than Drunk Dusk. Gu Xingyin said to the man beside her, "Look, I'm much more popular than you." Gu Yunke smiled gently and said in a low voice, "No matter how many people like you, you're mine alone." Gu Xingyin had to admit that the occasional sweet words of love could really lift one's mood. However, Gu Yunke hesitated for a moment. The video of the award ceremony will be published on the internet. Can you accept it? Gu Xingyin smiled and said, "What's so unacceptable about it? Am I that ugly?" Gu Yunke glanced at her and thought to herself, if you still can't show your face, then wouldn't the people on the street have to go out with their faces covered? But if that's what you think, why didn't you respond to your fans' requests before? Gu Yunke said, Don't guess a woman's thoughts. After 2 weeks of voting, the results were within everyone's expectations. Lee Ching-gyo was the undisputed number 1. On the 1st of the next month, she was invited to attend the award ceremony. At the same time, the address was also revealed. Fans who wanted to see their idols in person could come and interact with them. Other than Gu Xingyin, the other 9 voice actresses were also invited. As for whether they would go or not, the choice was in their hands. Gu Xingyin felt a sense of relief. Her mission was complete. As for Liangzi Loves Buns, she had already prepared a big gift for her. Chapter 778. This time, the award ceremony was broadcasted live. Fans who could afford it had already arrived at the scene early, waiting to see their idols. Fans who didn't have the time or were far away were watching the live broadcast in front of their computers. The host, Yunro, used to be a very active god in the online voice acting circle, but she had retired from the industry a long time ago. The clubs discussed for a while, and specially invited her to come. Several voice actors had already arrived at the scene. In order to give the fans a surprise, they didn't appear. Instead, they waited backstage for the host to speak. The voice actors were very familiar with the anime, but this was the first time they appeared in real life. Without a doubt, Chu Qingjio and Drunken Dusk's good looks caused a huge wave of admiration and shock. Especially after knowing that the two of them were a couple. A few people lamented that they had just seen the male and female god, only to find out that they were already taken. Yunro had already started to introduce the voice actors. One by one, Drunken Dusk and Song Qingjio were arranged to be at the end. Every time a voice actor appeared, the atmosphere at the scene would explode. Next, let's welcome Drunken Dusk. He entered the industry in 20XX, and his works are. Gu Yunka walked out with his signature smile. The moment he appeared, the fans at the scene couldn't help but scream. Not only the fans at the scene, but also many fans in front of their computers exclaimed softly, "God, is this really Drunken Dusk? Is it a model who walked into the wrong set? He's so handsome." Aha! Yunro had seen him before, but when she saw him leisurely walking towards her, she couldn't help but be stunned. She smiled and said, "Drunken Dusk is not only charming with his voice, but he looks even more charming in person. If I were a few years younger, I might be a little girl," she said half-jokingly. Gu Yunka took the microphone and said, "Hello everyone, I'm Drunken Dusk. Oh my god, the god is so handsome. He's the most handsome in the online voice acting circle, right? He's a god." This smile. I can't take it anymore. My mother asked me why my face is so close to the screen. Gu Yunka laughed and said, "Sister Yunro, you're so young. But I'm taken. Don't say this later. I'm afraid he'll be angry." He winked after saying that. Her Prince Charming was taken? The fans expressed that they were very curious about the girlfriend of such a handsome and charming male god. Gu Yunka kept him guessing. She is here today, but let's see if she is willing to come out later. Drunken Dusk was out, and after so long, there was only one person left. This year's Best Voice Actor King, Song Qingjio. Next, please give a warm round of applause to our Song Qingjio. She, Gu Xingyin, was wearing a light pink gown and entered the sight of her fans. She even reached out her hand to greet the screaming fans. "Hello everyone, I'm Chu Qingjio." She greeted everyone with a sweet smile. Yunro pretended to be aggrieved as she said, "The moment Qingjio appeared, my presence as a host instantly disappeared." As a woman herself, she couldn't help but marvel at Gu Xingyin's beauty. She couldn't be picky about Gu Xingyin's facial features and figure. She was simply too perfect. You wouldn't even know where to start feeling jealous. Chapter 779. Not to mention how passionate the fans were. The fans watching the live stream were already spamming the screen. "Oh my god, is this Qingjio? With a queen's voice and a lowly body, she's so adorable. I take back what I said earlier. Between Huanghan and Qingjio, it's still debatable who is the prettiest in the online matchmaking circle. Can I say that Qingjio has the looks of a perfect girlfriend in my heart? Previous poster, get lost. Qingjio is mine." Does Qingjio lack a leg accessory? A university accessory that can warm your bed and cook, Chunhua, Qiushi, and Liangzi Love's steamed bun were watching the live stream. When they saw Gu Xingyin appear, Chunhua and Qiushi were clearly stunned for a moment, and then they fell silent. Liangzi Love's steamed bun screamed in anger. How is that possible? How can she be Qingjiu? If Qingjiu was so pretty, why would Chunhua and Qiushi abandon her to be with her? But no matter how conflicted they were, it didn't matter anymore. Yunro was still teasing Gu Xingyin. I think after today, there will be a huge wave of confessions on your Weibo account. Yunro smiled mischievously. Gu Xingyin tilted her head hesitantly. Many fans couldn't help but hold their hearts when they saw this action. She was simply too adorable. Oh my god, such an adorable Qingjiu. They really wanted to bring her home and treasure her. Yunro sucked in a breath and said with a smile, "You're too lethal." No one would have thought that Qingjiu would be the #1 top female voice in the industry. Gu Xingyin pursed her lips and smiled, then replied to her previous question. Confessions and whatnot, I don't need them. I have a family. Her voice was sweet, and when she said this, her face was filled with a blissful smile. One could tell that she had a good relationship with her boyfriend. But the fans only wanted to drag out the guy who snatched their goddess and beat him to death. Yunro asked casually, "Is he from the industry?" She had just blurted it out, but Gu Xingyin gave her an affirmative answer. Yes. He came today as well. Yunro was a little curious. She really wanted to see what kind of man could make this girl fall in love with him. Then everyone at the scene opened their mouths wide, because their Lord Dusk had stood up from his seat. Could it be? That guess made everyone hold their breaths, and there was a moment of strange silence. Gu Yunka's expression didn't change. She walked step by step to Gu Xingyin. Their fingers were interlocked. For this fan meeting, Song Qingjiu and Drunken Dusk were the absolute protagonists. Gu Xingyin successfully received the award for the Best Voice Actress. The image of her smiling sweetly as she held the trophy became the desktop image of many people. Liangzi Love's buns seemed to be unable to accept this fact. She began to spread rumors, saying that this was not a sake at all, and that she had invited someone to receive an award. But who would believe her? Did they think that everyone in the industry was a fool? A day later, Liangzi Love's bun's computer was hacked, and her messy private life was exposed. It turned out that she had dropped out of high school. Relying on her good looks and coquettish skills, she had been dealing with all kinds of men, obtaining material enjoyment from them. Even now, she was dating 3 men at the same time. It was unbearable to look at. Her Weibo account was exposed, and she couldn't use her phone or QQ account anymore. She had no choice but to withdraw from the industry. When are you going to give me a home? Gu Xingyin looked up and asked the man. Gu Yunka paused for a moment, then smiled. Anytime. Chapter 780. When Gu Xingyin returned to the pure white space, she suddenly had a thought. She waved her sleeves, and a very modern European-style sofa appeared in the space. System. She shouted in surprise. The system's white light flashed quickly. Congratulations, host, you have mastered the ability to create objects out of thin air. Gu Xingyin suddenly asked. You said before that the strength of my soul needs to reach a certain level. Then what level is considered a sufficient level? The system replied. Host, please continue to create. See what level you can reach. Gu Xingyin looked at it and closed her eyes. In her mind, she began to imagine her house in the previous world. Soon in the empty space, walls, roofs, and furniture appeared out of thin air. A luxurious mansion appeared here. Gu Xingyin opened her eyes and looked at the system. The system was a little surprised. The host's talent was really the best among all the hosts it had ever seen. She had only completed a few missions, and she had already mastered the ability to create objects out of thin air. And looking at her appearance, she did not seem weak at all after creating such a big mansion. Host, try again. Can you create living creatures? The system said. Gu Xingyin nodded. She stretched out one hand, palm facing up. A white light flashed, and a small emerald bird appeared in her palm. However, its eyes did not open. Its body suddenly became illusory, and it turned into a speck of light that disappeared into thin air. Gu Xingyin did not give up and tried again. She found that it was the same as before. She could not create living creatures. She looked at the system with a questioning gaze. The system replied, "Host, you have now mastered the ability to create objects out of thin air. The next step is to be able to create living creatures. The next step is to leave this place with your own ability." Leave this place? Gu Xingyin was shocked. Ever since she was born, she had been staying here. Even though her consciousness followed the system to different worlds to complete missions, her body had never left this place. This place was always a vast expanse of whiteness. Other than herself and the system, she could not see anything else, even if it was inanimate. Leave this place? Gu Xingyin was confused for a moment, but her eyes became firm again. After all, there was a direction to work towards, wasn't there? System, I'm fine now. Let's go to the next world. The way to increase her strength was to complete as many missions as possible. Every time she completed a mission, she would be able to receive a gift from that world. Tianxianland. This was a world where martial arts were respected. Every child born in the Tianxian continent, if they were tested to have profound qi in their bodies, it meant that they had the qualifications to become a martial artist and would be heavily nurtured by their families. Similarly, if a person was born without any xian qi, no matter how high his status was, he was just a person who couldn't cultivate. Naturally, he wouldn't receive much attention. The former mercenary queen of the ancient Blue Star, Cheng Ling, had died one day and transmigrated into the Tianxian dynasty's fifth miss, Cheng Lingyu, who was a good-for-nothing concubine's daughter with no profound qi talent at all. After the person who should have died opened his eyes, the cowardice in his eyes disappeared. A legend was rising. The original female protagonist of this world was the eldest daughter of the Protector General's mansion, the peerless genius with perfect innate mystic qi, Cheng Linin. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.